pure experiences.
Welcome to the Pure Experiences Podcasts. Mankind's greatest discovery is realization of their own essential nature. When we act in knowledge, we reach our goals of happiness and freedom. In ignorance, we remain a slave of situations, and obey the will of others, we remain in misery and bondage. Rising above the lower planes is possible, via mental transmutation. Know the mind, and transmute the mind. This is real magic.
The possession of knowledge, unless accompanied by a manifestation and expression in action, is like hoarding of precious metals, a vain and foolish thing. Knowledge, like wealth, is intended for use. The use of the law of use is universal, and he who violates it suffers by reason of his conflict with natural forces. So this is one of the axioms from the Kybalion. Let us see what is the explanation of this. And the Hermetic teachings, while always having been kept securely locked up in the minds of the fortunate possessors thereof, for reasons which we have already stated, were never intended to be merely stored away and secreted. The law of use is dwelt upon in the teachings, as you may see by reference to the above quotation from the Kybalion, which states it forcibly. Knowledge without use and expression is a vain thing, bringing no good to its possessors or to the race. Beware of mental miserliness and express into action that which you have learned. Study the axioms and aphorisms, but practice them also. We give below some of the more important Hermetic axioms from the Kybalion, with a few comments added to each. Make this your own and practice and use them, for they are not really your own until you have used them. To change your mood or mental state, change your vibration. The Kybalion. One may change his mental vibrations by an effort of will in the direction of deliberately fixing the attention upon a more desirable state. Will directs the attention, and attention changes the vibration. Cultivate the art of attention by means of the will, and you have solved the secret of the mastery of moods and mental states. So my comment here is that this is a very important thing actually. It looks like a one-liner that you can change your mood or mental state, and by changing your vibrations. What does it mean to change my vibrations? Where is it, the thing that is vibrating that I need to change, make it vibrate more? And this kind of questions, they are indication of ignorance, total ignorance about the teachings of the Kybalion or Hermetic teachings, and also points to non-practice and lack of a teacher. So the first thing your teacher is going to tell you is to use attention. That is dhyan, the process of sitting peacefully and directing the attention to an object of attention. Like I said many times, attention is the single most ability of the mind that will govern your spiritual progress. Attention, nothing else. Does not matter how intelligent you are, does not matter how much compassion or love or whatever you have, these things are totally useless for the spiritual progress. What is useful is attention. Everything starts from attention. Now you will say that no, the book is saying will directs the attention. There will be no will. Don't worry about it, because the knowledge is zero. There is nothing in the memory. So no will be there. The wills arise out of memory. If there is a memory of doing something, of an experience, and it has produced some kind of good effects for the organism, the will is generated again and again and again. If there is no experience, no will. So how is it even possible? That is where the teacher comes into the picture. The teacher will install the will. First, you can see the teacher, how the teacher is. The character of the teacher, the qualities of the teacher will induce the will. There will be will to become like the teacher. He is your ideal person now. So there will be an installation of the will there. The seed will be there. Teacher is going to water that seed. Okay, you want this? Now do this also. You want that knowledge? Okay, read this also. And explore this also. And so on. And this will is going to direct your attention to something better, where it is by being governed by Mother Nature right now. So you will see most of the people, they behave just like animals, walking, talking, clothed animals, nothing more than an animal. So doing the same survival things around the clock, like a machine. That is the life. And because there is no will, the attention is scattered. The attention is being in the hands of Mother Nature or other people in the society. They are driving your attention. And so everybody is like a slave of others. They don't have their own will. They don't know where to put their attention. And so, how are they going to manipulate the vibrations? I don't think anybody knows the meaning of the vibrations also. So we have covered it, fortunately. Everything is vibrations. So mental states are nothing but states of ever-increasing vibrations. So all you need to do is recognize the states which have a higher vibration, and you will know this terminology only when you have gone through the practices. For the practices, you will need a teacher. They are not going to drop from the sky. You need a mentor, a teacher, a guru. The guru is the most important thing that will happen in your life. Otherwise, these are words. You can read 100 such books. You will remain the same animal that you are. To destroy an undesirable rate of mental vibration, put into operation the principle of polarity and concentrate upon the opposite pole to that which you desire to suppress. Kill out the undesirable by changing its polarity. The Kybalion. This is one of the most important of the Hermetic formulas. It is based upon true scientific principles. We have shown you that a mental state and its opposite were merely the two poles of one thing, and that by mental transmutation, the polarity might be reversed. This principle is known to modern psychologists who apply it to the breaking up of undesirable habits by bidding their students concentrate upon the opposite quality. If you are possessed of fear, do not waste time trying to kill out fear, but instead cultivate the quality of courage, and the fear will disappear. Some writers have expressed this idea most forcibly by using the illustration of the dark room. You do not have to shovel out or sweep out the darkness, but by merely opening the shutters and letting in the light, the darkness has disappeared. To kill out a negative quality, concentrate upon the positive pole of that same quality, and the vibrations will gradually change from negative to positive, until finally you will become polarized on the positive pole instead of the negative. The reverse is also true, as many have found out to their sorrow when they have allowed themselves to vibrate too constantly on the negative pole of the things. By changing your polarity, you may master your moods, change your mental states, remake your disposition, and build up character. Much of the mental mastery of the advanced Hermetics is due to this application of polarity, which is one of the important aspects of mental transmutation. Remember the Hermetic axiom quoted previously, which says, mind as well as metals and elements may be transmuted from state to state, degree to degree, condition to condition, pole to pole, vibration to vibration. The Kybalion. The mastery of polarization is the mastery of fundamental principles of mental transmutation or mental alchemy. For unless one acquires the art of changing his own polarity, he will be unable to affect his environment. An understanding of this principle will enable one to change his own polarity as well as that of others. if he will but devote the time, care, study and practice necessary to master the art. The principle is true, but the results obtained depend upon the persistent practice, patience of the student. So my comment here is that one of the great discoveries of mankind is that he can change his mind with his will. It is not fire, it is not wheel, it is not the nuclear fission or electricity or nothing. These are tiny compared to the discovery that we have the power to change our own mind. Now, unfortunately, nobody does it because they think I am the mind and I don't need to change. And there is a total lack of education in the society regarding this. This is not taught in the schools. So schools and colleges will prepare you for survival. They will hand over to you a little bit curiosities here and there, the trivial knowledge, and then you need to just memorize it and write it down in the exams. They will award you a degree and that will make you eligible to enter the system and earn your bread and butter. This is how the system works. There is no emphasis on personal development, and there is no emphasis on spiritual development, which is going beyond the mind, manipulating the mind, transmuting the mind, controlling the mental tendencies. So that's why I say, society is a collection of just herd of animals. Nothing more than that. Without the spiritual knowledge, the humans are not even humans. So this was not always the case. There were times when this was the mainstream. Cultivation of the mind was the only thing people did, and the other things, survival, it was a kind of add-on. Okay, do whatever your father is doing, and that becomes the means of survival. There was nothing more than spiritual evolution in the lives of the people. So it is all gone now. So it is an art, it needs to be practiced. And as soon as you get hold of this art, that yes, I can change my mind to according to my own will, then you have become a master already. It is not difficult. It requires persistent practice and patience. It is not impossible. It is not magic. As soon as this knowledge is there, that the mind can be evolved through conscious will, then you will progress very quickly. And with a master, with a teacher, it becomes easy. You won't fall in the pits that many seekers fall. This is amazing that we still have many teachers. We still have some leftover knowledge from the ancient times, and we need to experiment in order to find out what works. So simply reading, okay, the mind and the metals and the elements can be transmuted, and this and that, you can amuse people in a party or you can sing songs or write articles about it, but that is not the mental transmutation. It is a undertaking which is going to last for whole of the life. It is a lifestyle. So this is the biggest discovery that a human has made, and unfortunately failed to use it. A rhythm may be neutralized by an application of the art of polarization, the Kybalion. As we have explained in previous chapters, the Hermetists hold that the principle of rhythm manifests on the mental plane as well on the physical plane, and that the bewildering succession of moods, feelings, emotions, and other mental states are due to the backward and forward swing of the mental pendulum, which carries us from one extreme of the feeling to the other. The Hermetists also teach that the law of neutralization enables one, to a great extent, to overcome the operation of rhythm in consciousness. As we have explained, there is a higher plane of consciousness as well as the ordinary lower plane. And the master, by rising mentally to the higher plane, causes the swing of the pendulum to manifest on the lower plane, and he, dwelling on his higher plane, escapes the consciousness of the swing backward. This is affected by polarizing on the higher self, and thus raising the mental vibrations of the ego above those of the ordinary plane of consciousness. It is akin to rising above a thing and allowing it to pass beneath you. The advanced hermetist polarizes himself at the positive pole of his being, the I am pole, rather than the pole of personality. And by refusing and denying the operation of rhythm, he rises himself above its plane of consciousness. And standing firm in his statement of being, he allows the pendulum to swing back on the lower plane without changing his polarity. This is accomplished by all individuals who have attained any degree of self-mastery, whether they understand the law or not. Such persons simply refuse to allow themselves to be swung back by the pendulum of mood and emotion, and by steadfastly affirming the superiority, they remain polarized on the positive pole. The master, of course, attains a far greater degree of proficiency because he understands the law which he is overcoming by a higher law, and by the use of his will he attains a degree of poise and mental steadfastness almost impossible of belief on the part of those who allow themselves to be swung backward and forward by the mental pendulum of moods and feelings. Remember always, however, that you do not really destroy the principle of rhythm, for that is indestructible. You simply overcome one law by counterbalancing it with another, and thus maintain an equilibrium. The laws of balance and counterbalance are in operation on the mental as well as on the physical planes, and an understanding of these laws enable us to seem to overthrow laws, whereas he is merely exerting a counterbalance. So my comment here is that just like a wave is cancelled by another wave which is 180 degree out of phase, a master will cancel the negative swing by producing a positive swing. Now, how is it even possible? It is possible by the act of will, by putting in the identification of who I am in the center, in the I amness, in the awareness, in the consciousness, and allowing the other layers of the mind, other planes of the mind to behave as they please, but remaining steady at the higher plane. Just watching the lower plane vibrating as it pleases, and sometimes simply by watching, the negative vibration stops. The lower plane also returns to zero, equilibrium. So this is the law of balance and counterbalance. If you do not know the states of the mind, if you do not know the layers of the mind, the planes of the mind, then it is impossible to do that. How will I know what are the layers of the mind, what are the states of the mind? There is no difference between states of the mind and the layers of the mind actually. And this is possible. It is possible to know it simply by paying attention. Attention is necessary. Just observe what the mind is doing. Observe it while sitting peacefully at one place at least 20 minutes per day, or observe it 24 hours. Or the whole of your waking state, 16 hours. What is it really doing? How the pendulum swings, how the situations force the mind in one direction or the other, how the mind has become a slave of the situations, including other people. You can count other people into situations. They are nothing. They cause situations for you. That's all. And the mind is now enslaved to whatever goes on outside it. It is like the leaf on a pond is swayed by whoever is causing the waves. That is how it is. So all you need to do is let the leaf vibrate wherever it is vibrating. You become the observer of it. You become the observer of the mental state. And something magical happens, that not only that mind is freed from the influence of the situations, it returns to the neutral point. At any plane, this will happen, including the body. So this is a thing that you can know only by experimentation, only by practice. This is the whole practice of a spiritual seeker, to become aware of the situations, of the reactions of the mind to the situations. Know my essence. What is the essence? Stay at the essence. Stay at the center. Let everything happen as it should happen. This is the law, Mother Nature. Do not meddle in the laws, but you can rise high in the other planes where the pendulum is still in the neutral. You can take it to the higher side, and then the lower plane will lose its effectiveness. This is what he means when he says refuse to be influenced by the lower planes. We refuse to go with the situations, wherever the situations are taking you. This has to be done by an act of will. Usually the teacher will install the will, but you can do it yourself. No, I don't want to be controlled by the situations. And thus begins the transmutation of the mind. How will you stop the mind from flowing out with the situations? You rise in the vibration. You assume a position of a higher plane. Become the observer of the lower. And if something happens in that higher plane, you rise even higher, become the watcher of that one also. And this is how the master controls his inner rhythm. Once the inner is controlled, the outer, who cares? It will happen according to the laws. But that consciousness, that mind is unaffected. Or if it is affected, there will be learning of some kind. Next time, it will learn how to remain in the poise and mental steadiness. Nothing escapes the principle of cause and effect, but there are many planes of causation, and one may use the laws of higher to overcome the laws of the lower. The Kybalion. By an understanding of the practice of polarization, the Hermetists rise to a higher plane of causation and thus counterbalance the laws of the lower planes of causation. By rising above the plane of ordinary causes, they become themselves in a degree causes instead of being merely caused. By being able to master their own moods and feelings, and by being able to neutralize rhythm, as we have already explained, they are able to escape a great part of the operations of the cause and effect on the ordinary plane. The masses of people are carried along, obedient to their environment, the wills and desires of others, stronger than themselves, the effects of inherited tendencies, the suggestions of those about them, and other outward causes, which tend to move them about on the chessboard of the life like mere pawns. By rising above these influencing causes, the advanced Hermetists seek a higher plane of mental action, and by dominating their moods, emotions, impulses, and feelings, they create for themselves new characters, qualities, and powers, by which they overcome their ordinary environment, and thus become practically players instead of mere pawns. Such people help to play the game of life understandingly, instead of being moved about this way and that way by stronger influences and powers of wills. They use the principle of cause and effect, instead of being used by it. Of course, even the highest are subject to the principle as it manifests on the higher planes, but on the lower planes of activity, they are the masters instead of slaves. So I want to give you an example. Just go to a child and show him a new shiny toy and tell him that your toys, they are lowly toys. Look at my toy, shiny new toy. And what will happen, you can predict. You can say that your toys are ugly, they are old, they are broken. What is going to happen in the mind of the child? Well, he will start crying. He will start asking for new toys. His life, which was kind of heavenly till now, has turned into hellish. Why is that happened? Because the outer cause is greater, stronger than the inner cause. The child has no clue how to protect himself against the outer cause. Now, this is an example. This is only a story that I gave you, but I see this happening throughout the life of a person. It does not matter if you're a child, you're a teenager, or old person, does not matter. Everything outside them is influencing them. If you watch the TV for 1 hour, you get at least 100 influences that tell you that you are ugly, you are no good, you are nothing in front of these shiny things that I am showing on the TV. You need to spend all your income. Give it to me. I'll give you this shitty phone so that it will make you bigger, it will make you superior, and so on. What do? We spend all of our life being obedient, being slaves of the stronger causes. These are being pushed into the minds. So nobody ever grows beyond the level of a 5-year-old child. No one. Very rare to see. Only spiritual master has little bit of control over what goes into his mind and how he or she is affected. As soon as you take control of what is affecting you, what is causing my behavior, what is causing these things and that things, then you are now your own master. How is it possible? Simply by observing how the cause and effect works on the lower plane. Now, it is, kind of very difficult to control the body. It is being affected by physical causes. If it is very hot, it becomes kind of uncomfortable. If it is very cold, it freezes. If it is hungry, it needs food, and so on. That you will need to take care of. But you can actually go a little bit forward, go ahead and control the body also. If it is being greedy or if it is being lazy, you can fix it a little bit, and that is by exercising the higher will, not letting the physical causes cause whatever they are causing. But at the mental plane, it is easier. The emotions, the desires, the mental states, they are all being caused by external influences. Check it out. Nothing is yours actually. Whole of your mind is an accumulation starting from your childhood. There is the genetic causes that are driving. Well, we cannot do much about that. They will be there. But there are tribal causes. There are many kinds of brainwashing kind of stuff that is stuffed into our minds. My mind is not my mind anymore. So anything can influence it. Anything can disturb it. Anybody can make it do whatever they want it to do. The higher will overpowers the weaker mind. This is the condition that I see outside in our society. Now you will say that no, there are great people, there are big people out there, millionaires. And yes, they are slightly higher than the, totally useless kind of people, but and they are also puppets of something else. They also don't have their own will. They don't have any power. So they are being governed by something else, lower tendencies. So I'm not going to describe it more. You can see it yourself. And if you see it in yourself, inside your own mind, that this is happening, the causes that you don't want are causing your behavior, then you can simply cut them off. This is the power that we have. And there is no telling that nobody knows about this. Nobody uses it. Or they use it sometimes, occasionally. The rest of the time, they are being driven. So you will need to protect yourself from the vibrations of others and impose your own vibrations on the environment. So this is how the magic happens. There is no other magic that we are capable of. As the Kybalion says, the wise ones serve on the higher, but rule on the lower. They obey the laws coming from above them, but on their own plane and those below them. They rule and give orders, and yet in so doing, they form a part of the principle. Instead of opposing it, the wise man falls in with the law, and by understanding its movements, he operates it instead of being its blind slave. Just as does the skilled swimmer turns and this way and that way, going and coming as he will, instead of being as the log which is carried here and there, so is the wise man as compared to the ordinary man. And yet both swimmer and log, wise man and fool, are subject to law. He who understands this is well on the road to mastery, the Kybalion. In conclusion, let us again call your attention to the Hermetic axiom. And true Hermetic transmutation is a mental art, the Kybalion. In the above axiom, the Hermetists teach that the great work of influencing one's environment is accomplished by mental power. The universe being wholly mental, it follows that it may be ruled only by mentality. And in this truth is to be found an explanation of all the phenomena and manifestations of the various mental powers which are attracting so much attention and study in these earlier years of the 20th century. Back off and under the teachings of the various cults and schools remains ever constant the principle of the mental substance of the universe. If the universe be mental in its substantial nature, and then it follows that mental transmutation must change the conditions and phenomena of the universe. If the universe is mental, then mind must be the highest power affecting its phenomena. If this be understood, then all the so-called miracles and wonder workings are seen plainly for what they are. The all is mind. The universe is mental, the Kybalion. And this is the end of the book. So my comment here is that, the book says, the true Hermetic transmutation is a mental art. How to practice this? And the answer is very obvious, that you will need to know the mind. Do you know the mind? Do they teach this in schools, colleges? What degree are they handing over in the mind? Study of mind. What kind of science is that? And you will find nothing. Absolute zero. You are not going to get this knowledge in the society. Actually, it is being suppressed by many religions and the powerful people, because their power over others comes when others are stupid, when others are idiot, when others are mindless. They can use them as slaves, rule over them, make them work and, get whatever they are after. It's usually wealth and power and land. This is how the powerful people keep the 99% as slaves, by holding the knowledge of the mind. And you must have seen these kind of religions and very powerful politicians. The first thing they do is burn all the books. Wherever they go, wherever they attack, they are going to burn the books first. Why? You can guess. And they then destroy all the buildings and temples where these things are being done, where these teachings are being done. When the Middle Easterns attacked India, they did not go after anything. First, they destroyed the universities here. They just killed the teachers and all. Then they destroyed the temples. You see, their agenda was to simply destroy the culture, make the people slaves. And the same thing was done by the Britishers. They put the whole of the country under mental slavery, rewrote the history, and installed a feeling of inferiority among the masses in India. So, till date, even after 70 years of independence, an average Indian thinks that Indians are inferior to other people. This is because of these very powerful people. They came and brainwashed everybody. So, once you recognize that everything is mind, the path is opened. Now you will need to know what the mind is. You will need to find a suitable teacher who is still alive and study under that teacher. Once you know all the layers of the mind, all the workings of the mind, all the activities of the mind, then it becomes possible to experiment on the mind. And you will need to know these laws through your direct experience, not by reading. It needs to become real for you. This law works like this, that law works like this, and then you can start the mental transmutation. Actually, it sounds all complicated because probably you are listening to all this for the first time in your life. So as you enter the water, you will know how to swim. If you don't even enter, then no possibility. It becomes easy. So as soon as you get hold of a few things. So when I entered the path of spirituality, well, I was kind of total idiot, nothing, knew nothing. And there was no difference for me when somebody said mind and body, no difference at all. And I saw the mind as myself, not as a phenomena that happens in myself. So once that knowledge happened, then the mind starts revealing its secrets to you. Now you will see that there is a will there which can affect the lower planes. Very easy, very, very easy to affect. And the baser tendencies and the lowest kind of vibrations, you can get rid of them in one day actually. Yes, they will come back because habit. But you know the trick now. You know the magic now. So transmutation has begun. As soon as you know that there is a mental tendency there is lower vibration there, the transmutation has started already. Because it is the nature of the mind that if it detects a flaw in itself, it will start correcting. It is like, you go to a restaurant and somebody tells you, don't eat there. I got food poisoning from that place. Now, from the next time, you're going to avoid it, even without, you don't want to take that risk. You don't want to experiment there. Same thing. If in your mind, it comes into your consciousness, it enters your consciousness, something is wrong in the lower planes, then the mind will start avoiding it by itself. This much intelligence is there in every mind, you see. So it picks up very quickly. So right now, everybody I see is kind of, totally ignorant about the mind and its phenomena. They think it is matter. It is made up of some kind of substance and all. And so as soon as you have this kind of crap stuffed into your mind, well, it will stop working. And then you will be governed by the higher wills, the stronger people. And the first thing is to get rid of the beliefs that are being stuffed into your mind by the society. Now, I'm not saying they're evil. I'm not saying that there is a conspiracy going on. They are just ignorant. They also don't know. You think your mother, father, and relatives know? No, nobody knows. They have the good intentions for you, but they will also tell you that you are only a body and you will die. And all these spiritual stuff that people say, they are crazy people. They are superstitions, blind believers. So yes, I agree to that. A lot of spiritual people are just, crazy. They are just superstitious. Blind faith has taken over. They do not really know what mind is, what consciousness is. Nothing. That is the half-truth there, like the book says. So do not believe anybody. Believe only your own experience, direct experience. So what is the goal of human life? And obviously it is happiness and freedom. How are you going to get happiness and freedom? By becoming slave of situations. No, I'm just joking. You need to be free from the influences that are driving you towards suffering. Our fundamental nature is happiness and freedom. We have actually fallen from that nature. That's all you need. You need to remember it back. As soon as you get it back, you get the control back. It is very easy. You don't need to do anything. Actually, not many practices are needed. As soon as you know this secret, that you are not the body, you are not the mind. You are that which is the witness of these things. And immediately you will find the power arises in you. Now you can control everything. Now you can control what is affecting these things, the body and the mind. Because your experience is coming from the body and the mind, you want good experience. You don't want suffering. That is the natural tendency of the mind. It avoids suffering and bondage. You cannot say, no, I want suffering and bondage. I'm okay with it. And that will be kind of mental affliction of some kind. Many people are like this. No, I'm happy here. Whatever was taught to me, I'll follow that. Okay, I'm slave, so I'll remain the slave. I don't want to learn anything new. This is some kind of mental affliction, because that is not the natural tendency of the mind. As soon as you are shown a bondage, you want to be free from it. As soon as you are shown a suffering, this is not normal. You want to be free from it. This is what the strong and evil people are afraid of. They don't want people to know. And therefore, nobody wants to control boundaries, nobody wants to control the resources, nothing. They want to control the knowledge. So all my effort is to spread whatever I have known. And I don't know what it will do. I don't know how many minds I am affecting. But even if you can light the light of knowledge in one person, your job is done. So I hope everybody who has listened to this book, the Kybalion, does the same. Spread the light of knowledge.
Pure experiences.
You were listening to Pure Experiences by Tharun Pradhan.